Shalom. I'm pretty exhausted. Ooh. No coffee or anything. I'm gonna go home and go to sleep for a little bit. I think. I do want to still stop by the Goodwill, but I think Monday off would be my work day for the most part. Too. Actually, we might stop by Walgreens too, because I can withdraw a good bit of that money and put it into the other account. Although realistically, I should get a lot of this done today, but this month, has been a bit rough with the move and everything. I had 2 overdraft fees that were like $60. It's gotta be rough. Those overdraft fees are killing me. And I had to renew my phone plan, which was more money. It was a lot of money at once. It's like my car broke down, a mechanic, everything happened at once. One of the things I'll probably definitely do today, fudge. I gotta go to storage to get that done. Fudge. Yeah, I don't have a choice. I get like 5 more hours of sleep though because it's my first day off. I think what I'll do is just come home. Then I'm around 1. I might just go to sleep till like 6 or 7. I get a little bit of like go to the storage area, get some more of that done. Do some DoorDash on the way back, and then go to bed, or go to the gym and go to bed. I think that's where we're gonna be. And then get up tomorrow, donate. We really have to have that donation come through. I'm depending on that money right now. I don't know where I'm gonna. I don't know. We'll figure it all out. So I think too is like, I don't think a lot of women appreciate just how much kind of having the world on your shoulders is as a man. Now, a lot of women do appreciate that, but I think I have to, after the divorce is finalized, I think it'll be very important for me to wait for that woman. Because a man can get a woman pregnant, so he's like in his 80s, 90s. I mean, not always, but definitely until his 60s. But, it's not like the biological time clock is the same for men. At the end of the day, just because I want a family doesn't mean that I have to put aside my happiness to let that happen. I'm not saying I shouldn't, I don't know that I necessarily should have I don't know. I think I think in the past, I've done way too quick to settle. Like most of my life has been way too quick to settle. As I'm getting older, and for men, that's a good thing in the dating market. So I don't really think I gotta settle anymore. For a lot of women, it's the other way around. But I think for a lot of men, I think this is often the way it is, where it's like a lot of men, I think we don't value ourselves enough in our earlier years. And I think it's not until we get older that we really realize that, yeah, age is good for a man. Experience, age, some level of, financial security. That looks good on a man, and that's the one thing that I think a lot of men just aren't aware of, is that I think a lot of men spend so much time focusing on the women in their lives, they don't realize that we kind of have this beautiful thing that, yeah, an older man can very easily get a beautiful, gorgeous younger woman. The reverse is less common. But part of the thing too, I think, that makes the dating game easier for men is like men don't really come at the bat with the highest expectations. Men aren't typically looking for a woman that has a lot of money and success and can do things around the house, can do things around the yard. Mostly men are looking for things that a man could do, but they want it from a woman. They don't need a whole lot of success. They don't need a whole lot of, or any success really. What a lot of men are looking for is young, pretty, and nice. And I think most men are willing to compromise on the young part. And a lot of men are even willing to compromise on the pretty part. What's the biggest variable here? Is the nice part. That's, I think, what men value. I think that's what a lot of men, whether we admit it or not, I think that's what a lot of us value the most. Because we want a wife that'll be nice to us. Like, they don't have to be the most gorgeous. They don't have to be the most cute. They don't have to be the youngest of the group of the dating pool. They just have to, I think what most men want in a woman, above all, or maybe not most men, I don't know about the whole world, but at least I would say a significant portion of men, and I would say maybe even most men in America, maybe most men actually. But yeah, one of the biggest variables I think for a man in the dating market is just a woman that's nice. And surprisingly, that's kind of hard to come by. For a lot of women, being nice depends on her emotions. Now, fair enough. Fair enough if she's pregnant. Fair enough if she's on her menstruation. Like, a lot of us as men, I think, get that. we might, like, a lot of women might be like, you don't know how it feels. Sure, a man doesn't know the exact feeling. Just like if a man works in a warehouse, you might not know exactly how his body is feeling right now, right? If the woman's never worked in a warehouse. That's not really the point. You don't have to know exactly how somebody feels. Plenty of people in our lives feel things that we'll never feel. They'll see things we'll never see. They'll hear things we'll never hear. It doesn't have to be like exact one-to-one, but I think most men realize, yeah, you're in pain. Yeah, you're feeling terrible. And instead of like I think a lot of women will like go on a rant about like this and that about her emotions, and she'll just like go on and on and on. What most men need to hear, I'm not feeling well. I'm feeling bad, really bad. Most men know about what menstruation is. Now, if women stop talking about it entirely, it's probably good to teach our kids that at some point, if it ever gets forgotten. But basically, in the modern world, men know what menstruation is. Men know what pregnancy is. They might not know all the details. But if you tell them, I'm feeling terrible, I feel sick, I feel terrible, that's all they need to know. And if they don't understand the intricacies of something like pregnancy or menstruation, you can basically send them a video. A lot of men are very practical. A lot of men will watch the video, and if it's well enough made, especially if it has people with like medical doctors and nurses talking about this, scholars, etc. Like, there's a good chance they'll be like, yeah, you're right. I get it. I get it now. And don't be like, you don't get it. You would never get it. Don't do that. Remember, if your man is trying to give you love, and if he's trying to be empathetic, he's trying to give you more of what you need because you're going through some serious things with your menstruation, with your pregnancy. There are times where you might accidentally slip, but try not to be mean to the one that's trying to help you in those situations. But yeah, like basically all you got to do for, I think, most men in the modern world, especially if they're past their in their 30s, most of them know what menstruation is. Most of them know what pregnancy is. All you gotta do is say, I'm not feeling well, and hopefully they should be able to piece two and two together. And if they don't know your monthly cycle, you can just say, well, menstruation. You know what I mean? So if they forget or whatever, and a lot of them will. A lot of them are busy working and things like that. And if you're pregnant, you might have to throw the hint again, pregnancy. But what a lot of women in the modern world do is they'll just be like, they'll push away from a man who's trying to comfort them during pregnancy or during menstruation. And by the way, the pregnancy one, I feel like that one kind of falls in the community for things like comfort and being there, right? Friends, mom, dad, I feel like the whole village kind of can make an impact on pregnancy, because pregnancy is a long, arduous process for the woman. And, if everybody's coming in and saying, hey, we want to be a part of making sure that you're okay, that's a really big deal, I think. And I think we really need more of that kind of community, because women do go through a lot with pregnancy. They absolutely do. Just like a man passing a kidney stone. Yeah, I mean, it's like, there are certain things, or obviously that's not a one-on-one, but I'm just giving a comparison to show that there are certain experiences where somebody will go through a tremendous amount of something. In the case of the kidney stone, it's just pain. In the case of pregnancy, it's a combination of a lot of things, right? Which is made worse if the man decided to leave. Which, by the way, is one of the biggest reasons for that a lot of us promote marriage, before making love. It's not like a lot of people see it as just through the eyes of, this is just strict religious regulation. Well, sure it is, but there's a reason behind it, I think. And I think one of the biggest reasons is that a lot of men will leave, a lot of women will leave. Not always, but a lot of the times they will. It's one of the things about marriage before making love is the idea that the partner, whoever it is, they can't leave once the baby's conceived. Not easily. They're connected through legal documentation. They're connected through knowing the new family. It's very difficult for them to just up and leave. And a lot of us have seen the pain that can be caused when, that safeguard isn't in place, just like a helmet. And it's, we don't want other people, especially women, because I think it's all because in that situation, because she's the one carrying the baby, she's very unlikely to abandon the baby if she's carrying the baby. A lot of men leave, though. A lot of men leave. But yeah, I do think that's one of the biggest things that a man will look for is just be nice to me. I think it's just a sweet and sad thing. It's like so many men just want that. Like that. I think honestly, when I make my new list, like that'll be at the top. It's like, if I ever get married again, it's like, yes, like literally just be nice to me. Now, the thing is like, and one of the other things too is like a lot of men are a lot less picky when it comes to what they perceive of as attractive. So it's like, I don't have to date or marry a second wife that's, in my mind, unattractive or anything. It's like for men, it's like for a lot of us as men, short, tall, skinny, a few extra pounds. A lot of us aren't really that picky when it comes to what we're attracted to. And I think part of that kind of flows into like, well, if we're not picky when it comes to the body, then what are we being picky about? It's things like personality traits. It's funny, like one of the things too that I think bothers a lot of men is like men don't typically complain about having to do the responsibilities that we have, but there are a lot of women who just complain about every single responsibility they have, which is something you would kind of expect from like a spoiled child. It's like, because if they complain enough, I think the hope is that they won't have to do it anymore. That mommy or daddy will do it. Most men don't want to deal with that. I think most men who are looking for a relationship, we try so, a lot of us try so hard not to complain about our responsibilities. It's just life. And these things, we make efforts to think of them as good things, and have fun while we're doing it. Because for a lot of men, we can't delegate our responsibilities to somebody else. For a lot of women, it's just something they've been doing since childhood. Mommy, they complain about it enough, mom, daddy does it for them, and then, oh, thank you, friend. And it's kind of the same, thing. And yeah. I'm going to try to get in there kind of quiet. I'm a little late. But yeah, I think what I want to leave on is most men don't want a woman who complains about everything. And here's the thing, because that's a sign of being spoiled. I shouldn't say because it's a sign of being spoiled, but it just simply is. It simply is a sign of being spoiled. That's what it comes down to. Because a man who isn't spoiled is not going to complain about everything. And it's the same thing with a woman. If she's complaining about having to wash the dishes, it's like, well, the man's fully capable of doing it. Sure, a man is fully capable of doing it. And a lot of men are deciding not to get married, too quickly, largely because of that. It's like, yeah, well, I can do that. But if I had a wife who did it without complaint, she wouldn't have to have any fancy degrees or any financial success. That's all I need is someone to love me and help out when she can, not even an equal amount, but actually put in some level of effort. That's all. It's like it's so incredibly reasonable. Oh, well, I don't know if I can fit. I don't know if there's a place to park. Hold on a second. I want to try the other side because I don't think there's a place. I don't think there's a place to park. All right, I guess we could park over here. Yeah, I don't think there's anywhere else to park. In fact, though, let me turn it around. That actually might be a bad idea. Let me see if I can park over there. I did not realize it would be this packed. If we get any more members of the church, we might just have to yeah, I'm not gonna fit there either. There's a tiny area right there. That might be kind of my best bet. But then I have to pull out there, which is kind of dangerous. What I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna pull up behind them. It shouldn't block their parking lot. And we're only gonna be here for like another hour. But yeah, that's like basically that's probably basically the reason that I'm cutting my wife off financially. It basically just comes down to her not being nice and not being able to be nice. It's not because I don't care about her. It's because here's the thing. A lot of men have spoiled their daughters, and when I was younger, I kind of thought that's the way to go. The big problem I'm learning, and I'm learning this from other men too, spoiling your daughters just leaves the next generation kind of messed up. It's like I know now that once I have children, if I have a son and a daughter, I'll have to discipline them very similarly. Because a spoiled daughter turns into a spoiled woman, that messes up the family dynamic. They get divorced more often. I think the kids end up getting messed up. The husbands end up getting messed up. It's just bad all around. I just think from now on, I think we have to just, unfortunately, a lot of those women I think have to be taken out of the gene pool. We can't date those women. We can't marry those women because if the parents spoil them too much, it's the fault of maybe the father, the mother, both. but they shouldn't have been spoiling their little girl like that to the point where they just, they don't take accountability. They don't want to do their chores. We're going to have to stop spoiling women in our society. We're going to have to treat them in the way that traditional societies have, which is with discipline and the same kind of respect for the daughters as we have for the men, which includes discipline. Because remember, you know, the idea of spoiling your little girl, but treating your man like that different, your little man that differently, to me, that just screams that you don't respect the women as much as you do as the man. And then it ends up leading to families being divided, children getting messed up, husbands getting messed up. What has to happen is these young ladies they have to have their spankings or go in the quiet corner or whatever your disciplinary measures are. It cannot be different for the boy or for the girls than it is for the boys anymore. At least not to, no, I think period. I think they have to be treated the same in childhood. Obviously in adulthood, men and women should be treated differently. But in terms of like key areas like discipline, the girls have to be treated like the boys, because we have in this society now, we have all these divorces and all these men that are getting just abused emotionally, sometimes physically. You have all these children that are getting messed up psychologically, sometimes from families being split apart because the woman is just so spoiled. We have to make sure that our girls are being treated with the same respect and discipline as the boys are. Otherwise, we're just going to continue ending up with people who are hurting our society from the inside, and that's not fair. And it's not fair on them either, because these girls are going to grow up into women who are going to be unhappy. It's a huge disfavor to these women too. We have to discipline the women like we discipline our little girls like we discipline our little boys. Because otherwise, they'll be unhappy, their husbands will be unhappy, and their children will be unhappy, and that's just disaster. Like, who would want that for your children? If you just look around at the world today, you see where I'm going to spoil my little pretty princess, but not, give her less discipline than the boy. We see where that's led, and it's led to a lot of pain and anguish for families and individuals, and we don't want that to continue. You see what I'm saying? For your family, it's the opposite. Well, you know what? That's fair. It's not always one way. You know, it's not always that way. I'm just saying it happens. I think it seems to be happening a lot. It seems to be kind of the norm. I'm not saying that happened for every family of Philly Gooth. And yeah, it definitely. I know it's the opposite sometimes. There are definitely examples where that happens. 100%. 100%. But that's not right either, right? Like we have to be disciplining our boys and our girls with the same level of fervor, and it has to become equalized. Otherwise, you see the consequences in our society from those kinds of poor child rearing techniques. We have to make sure that both genders are being disciplined and being disciplined equally and well. Otherwise, we see all these negative repercussions happening in society, and I think a lot of those are traceable to that. It's those simple childhood disciplinary measures or lack thereof, right? It's not the end of the world to give your little girl a spanking if she's being bad. Like, if you're going to spank your little boy, you better spank your little girl as well. Now, my cousin, she was relatively treated relatively the same, at least in matters of discipline, with me and my male cousin. Now, she has been through a couple divorces, but you know, she does a lot of things that are just right that we don't see. And she treats when she is married, like her one husband died. She treats her husband very well. And the only divorce that she had, like, I don't necessarily agree with it 100%, but I see how severe it was, to where I'm not shaming her for it, because I see where she was coming from. You know. Poor thing probably should have asked for help sooner, though. I wish she had communicated more, but that's a tough situation, and I can't swear that I wouldn't have been in the same boat as her if I were in her shoes. I kind of was. The issues with me and my wife, I kept most of them silent and pretended like everything was okay for so long. It's one of those things when you're married. It's a hard thing to admit that, especially because you don't want to talk bad about people, and you definitely don't want to talk bad about your partner, and that's hard. That's hard to admit that. It is, though. You know what I mean? It's hard to admit that your partner is doing some really evil things. So, like, for both me and my cousin, with her ex, it's hard to, but realistically, I think if you have somebody in your life, if there are some real, like realistic concerns, not like a casual argument early in the marriage, but like a real concern, like alcoholism, or emotional abuse or physical abuse, like those are things that need to be talked about with somebody you trust. And the problem is like, unfortunately, a lot of people don't really trust anybody enough to give those things out to anyone other than Adonai himself, which is also something we probably should do more. But yeah. Anyway, take care, y'all. I love you.